And then I say, yo, what up? Yo, what up? Yo, what up? Okay, so Attack on Titan has come out, and I've played with a little bit of the set. YouTube, ignore what's going on with Twitch chat at the moment. We're talking about heavy stuff. But what we're going to do today is I have a bit of a small idea, and that is the Attack on Titan set has been advertised as a beginner-friendly set. And so I went, you know what? Where do you start? Where should you start whenever you join UniVersus? At this exact time. This exact moment in time, where do you start? And I think I'm going to do this periodically throughout the year, like maybe like 3 times a year. Like, what sets are good, what sets are bad. And so we'll put them in a bit of a tier list, right? And so I've got this guy here, and what I have done is I have made 5 different tiers of, this is a great place, this is a great product to start. As if this was like your first thing you picked up, this would be a great place to start. And then good, and then fine, I don't recommend, and this is a terrible starting spot. And I have every single piece of product that is currently legal in the standard format. Obviously, results may vary based on, I'm going to change my camera angles a little bit. Obviously, results may vary based on like what format you're trying to play, but this is all from the idea of I'm getting into standard. What does TamCardwell recommend that I go pick up and get? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from all the way in the back, from the oldest sets, and I'm going to move forward. Nice and simple. And so the first thing that I want to talk about is just Crimson Rampage, set 2 of Neo Standard, right? And Crimson Rampage has a lot of very cool, unique cards in it. A lot of really awesome singles, but it is in my big don't recommend category. I do not recommend you go and pick up, if your first box of product was Crimson Rampage, I cannot recommend it. I think that the characters are not strong enough. I think that, like, the only reason that it's not in the terrible category is because it's really cost efficient. If you go and you look up prices on TCG Player, they're incredibly cheap boxes, right? You can go get an entire case for the cost of like maybe like $100. Like it's very, very cheap product. But we are over halfway done of the year, and this set is obviously rotating. It's rotating next year, and so the shelf life of this product inside of standard is very, very low. Same idea with Heroes Clash. Again, incredible price point, incredible singles. But my recommendation is, if I would not go and pick up a box of Heroes Clash, I would just go cherry pick the singles that I would want. And so, like, as a new player friendly product, this isn't it. It's not a very good product. Followed by this, we have League of Villains, which I think has some of the best ultra rares that we are still seeing. Things like Vile Seizing, things like Double Trouble. The characters are fine. I think there's only one really incredible character inside of the set, and that's just Shigaraki 3. And even then, that character's seeing a lot of downplaying in its play. I think the idea of like the commons and the uncommons are chill. There are a couple of ultra rares that are scaled down a little worse than like the average set. And so for League of Villains, I think that League of Villains is a fine set. This would be fine if you're like, yo, I like the bad guys, I like the League of Villains. And I was like, yo, if you do like Dobby's a totally chill character to go and pick up and play out of League of Villains, right? It's the only place that you can play Muscular. It's the only place you can play Spinner. This is a fine product. Again, all of these have this small asterisk of these have a shelf life, because, you know, League of Villains does not rotate at the same time as these two, correct? Am I crazy? Because this came out in January, as opposed to these ones came out the year prior. I believe that's true. Chat, you can help me. You can correct me. Correct? Yes, perfect. Yep. Set 4 is next year. These These three don't rotate at the same time. That's correct? Okay, I'll trust. With that, I think that this is a fine product to pick up as a new player, but you really have to like love the characters that are inside. And when it comes to like learning the game, I think that it's also okay. It's not gangbusters. Next we have Undaunted Raid. So Undaunted Raid is an incredible set, and I think is the singular best set of all of the blue-backed cards, right? I think it might just be better than set 1, and so set 5 I think is a very, very good set. But with it comes like some weird stuff. The fact that they had to squeeze all of the bullets into the back half, and they don't have like full support, like the evil symbol's like a little bloated. I think this is a good product to go and get. I think there's a lot of really cool, really awesome cards that you can get from this pack. I think the secret rares are very good. I think the rares and the ultra rares are very good. There's a lot of cool stuff going on. It feels very, very hard to open up a bad box of Undaunted Raid, at least in my memory, right? It's been like a year since I've opened up a box of this product, but like I feel like there's a lot. I feel like the characters really carry themselves. There's not a lot of terrible characters, and I think that you can survive off of the things that you get inside the box. I think the things that you get inside the box probably are useful when you were first starting out. From here, we actually get into our first. So 4 boxes in, we're finally getting to our first deck, like our first actual deck, and it's just the Mirio and Overhaul decks. And I have separated these guys out as individual ideas, and so like this is its own separate idea, this is its own separate idea, because I think that those matter. And so for the Mirio deck, I think that this is a great place to start. I think that anybody who I think would struggle with the mechanics of UniVersus, the number one place that I'm going to send them is just to the Mirio starter deck. I think that the deck it's like an 18 unique card deck. I believe it's like 18 or 20, and I think that every card in the deck, no matter the rarity, supports what Mirio's got going on. I think that this is. You ready? I forgot that the Endeavor 3 and Eraser starter decks existed. That was completely on me. That's completely on me. Not even on the list. Jace, I forgot. And I'm not gonna add them. I just won't add them. They're rotating. Don't buy them. Cherry pick the comments. The problem with the old decks is they're only 50 cards, right? Correct. And this is where, you know what? They're 50 cards. I guess they have to be dropped down to good, because you're allowed to play them out of the box, but you can't like change the decks at all. Like you have to you can't slap 2 of these, or I guess you could slap 2 of these decks together. I think I'm actually gonna put it back up in grade. I think if you just get 2 of these decks and you like put them together so that you have a 60 card deck, I think that it's where it's at. I think that there should be a guide. Maybe some content creator should make a guide on like how to turn your Mirio deck into a 60 card deck and like run it. But this is I think this is an incredible product that you should pick. You should pick up 2 of these, and for all of these starter decks, I think that you should pick up 2 of them so you have a full playset of everything. But this deck is primo, and I feel a little less so about the Overhaul deck. I think the Overhaul deck is good. I think that the Overhaul deck does not have quite as many individual solo technique bangers as the Mirio deck. I think that it is a little harder to play the Overhaul deck than it is to play the Mirio deck. With that said, like if you were looking to jump in with a competitive character, I think that Overhaul scales to his highest capabilities better than Mirio does. But as a new player product, I think that the Overhaul deck it's good. It's good. On to now the onto Jetburn. I believe Jetburn is the next thing. And so for Jetburn is the best sealed UniVersus box that we have ever had, and I think that that's true. I do think that is true. I think that it is a great spot. I think all of the ideas were very flushed out. I think the only thing that Jetburn's missing a little bit of when it comes to the box itself is there are some characters like Inasa doesn't have like a ton of love, but like the Lurkers idea is like so good. I wish that like Inasa and Cammy, and this would be very fun. Like imagine Inasa, Cammy, and Todoroki were like the three other ones, and they had that same team idea that the Lurkers had. Right? They maybe even then they had their own like keyword of like provisional failures or whatever. Right? I wish Nasa got a full kit, correct. And there's like that's the only hit against it, but I think that the like back page attacks are super good. I think the back page foundations are super good. I think there's a lot to be said with if I go and I pick up a Jetburn box, I think that I could build a deck and feel comfortable playing it. I have to disagree on distribution rates. The box was terrible for it and pushed me off buying single decks, not single decks, boxes. So you felt like opening up a box of Jetburn, like if you got like 2 boxes of Jetburn, you couldn't make a deck. And the deck, like, because my big thing here is like, I think if I just like bought a box of Jetburn, I could put together like a decent enough deck to like do it. Hell, I made an entire 0 to hero off of doing this. Yeah. I think it's fine. And to the point, right? To the point. We opened 2 cases and didn't have a play set of rares. That's fair, right? But that is scaling at the very high end of it, rather than like I'm starting out into the game, right? Like where would I start? Oh, just go like go pick up a couple boxes of Jetburn and you can go and have fun. But we'll move on to the Ochaco starter decks. I'm in the same spot, right? I think Ochaco is great. I almost want to put her down into the good category, but it's only because like this character's floor is not as low as I really want it to be, but I think it is higher than what the overhaul was. If I had a spot in between good and great, I would probably put Ochaco here, but I do think that this is a like my number one recommendation for it is that like I think that the Ochaco, and I'll just go ahead and jump the gun, the Ochaco and Toga decks are just incredible. They're just so good as new player decks, specifically the Toga deck. I think the Toga deck might be like the perfect example of like what a starter deck should look like, right? I think the 6 diff ultra rare that she plays, it's super good. I think it is better and more wanted than the Ochaco ultra rare. I think that like the rares are good. Like I think that this as a singular product to play is like so good. It's so good. And this was, Chad, help me. These were 50 card decks, or was this the time that they changed the number? When did they change the number? It's 50. Okay. Again, that would be the only reason to drop them down to the good category. Like this is such a good product. Just pick up 2 of these $12 decks and you are good to go. You can go even at your locals easy. But now we get to move on to the oh, I don't even have my desktop audio on. That's very funny. Now we get to move on to the Trigun and Cowboy Bebop starter decks. And as Agent Winter says, these are the first 60 card decks. I think that the Trigun deck itself is a good deck to start with. I think there's a lot of unique ideas with this. I think that it is, as a new player friendly product, I think that its ideas are simplistic enough. My only issue with this product, which is just the price total, as a $35 entry, like, and you want 2 of them to make your deck as consistent as possible. $70 as your entry for a new player product is like, is like it's here. I'm gonna put it in good because I'm going to put the Spike one in fine, because I think that Vash and Wolfwood as characters are more exciting for a new player to play than Spike or Faye. The idea of flipping your own board in order to turn off my things and not get to use those abilities is bad. And now I hear you say, but Tam, you put the Ochaco deck up in great. The thing about Ochaco is I think Ochaco is incredible at teaching you when you should and should not flip things. And she also lets you correct your mistakes by once per turn unflipping a thing, which you just don't get inside on the character card. You have to find the heel kick in order to do. And so, like, as teaching products, the price point is incredible. The deck synergizes together, and you get a chance to, like, when do I push speed? When do I push damage? Flipping my entire board is bad. I need to fix that. My character lets me fix it. So good. And then, like, just flipping your board so that you have more face downs in them feels like you have less agency on the game. And so I'm not a fan of it. On to the Vox Machina decks. I'm going to speedrun them and put them both in the don't recommend. So not only are they not very strong out of the box, right? I think they're also pretty complex, right? The floor of the cards are very low, but the highs of the cards are very high. Like, trying to understand how daggers works, or trying to understand as a new player how Storm of Arrows works, or what are the ultra rares, like Wound Restore. Like, Wound Restore is like a huge piece of the pie for Jester, and BFE is a huge piece of the pie for not. BFE, very easy to understand. The other three cards is like, what am I actually like as a new player, like the average C student new player, it's actually like a tough concept to like get around. I think that there's a lot of touching of pieces and moving parts, and like, they're cool. Obviously, I love Jester, right? But like, as a new player, I would not recommend you ever learning on those decks. I just wouldn't. From there, we've got the Dark Tournament. As a new player product, how do I feel about the Dark Tournament? It's probably just fine, right? Like, it's fine. Like, if you really like Yu Yu Hakusho, it's fine. But I was looking back in and being like, which characters do I want to build? And it's literally just younger Toguro and elder Toguro. Like, it's really just those two characters that I find interesting. And then as a new player, like, are they really doing anything? I think that like the Dark Tournament is very cool for veteran players to like cherry pick the pieces that they want, right? Like, it's a cool competitive set, but like, as a new player jumping into the game, I don't know, man. I don't know that I would recommend it for people. It's probably fine, but they also have like the vanilla cards that like have like every set has like a vanilla in it. You know, it's probably good enough. It's probably good enough. Yeah, we'll leave it there. It's good enough. From here, let's talk girl power. Girl power is how good of a new product is girl power? It is. I'm gonna drop it up in good. It's fine. It's fine. I think that the character kits themselves, like the main character kits, are okay. I like the fact that there are character kits, there are 4-card support packages, and then there are the back page cards. I think all 3 of those make a good set, truthfully. I wish that Attack on Titan would go back to that. And I know that we've only like jumped off one away from it, but there is the I do like the how the set is spread out, but the cards inside them, I think again is a big cherry picking set, kind of like Dark Tournament. but I don't. You know what? I'm actually gonna move our tournament back down to fine. Yeah, and I'm gonna put girl power right next to it. I think the girl power is it's a fine set to if you jumped in at if you were a big fan of the cards. I think that like the big thing with girl power is there are some pretty complex ideas, specifically with like Toga 4 existing. But like there are some pretty good starter deck characters, such as like Woman was pretty good. The idea of like I think Mirko is kind of Mirko's more like an intermediate because like destroy any character that destroys their own stage is automatically like an intermediate character, right? And like you could look all the way back to the original Clash decks of Midoriya Bakugo, and those were not beginner friendly products, right? Like those would be in my don't recommend category of like as products to open, because I think that they're in the same idea as the Vox Machina thing. I think those decks were just too complicated, the characters and the ideas. Yeah. Okay. Moving on. We're gonna push past it. I'm gonna leave it in fine. Godzilla. I think Godzilla is a good spot to start if you are down to spend the cash. I think that the idea of you being, if you are a fan of the big huge swings, the only reason that I don't put Godzilla up into the great category is literally just the price point. I think $35 is just too much to ask for. 70 if you want like a full playset of everything. It's actually too much. But I think the concepts were pretty simple. I think the idea of like the reset is very fun for new players. If it's like I'm gonna blow up a board, and that's not even counting like the idea of actually, you know what? Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm actually gonna put Godzilla up in great, and here's the reason. Because of the fact that Godzilla came with 3 different character cards, means that you have 3 different ways to play the starter deck, and so your replayability and your ability to be like, I don't like Godzilla, but I do like Kiryu, but I don't like Kiryu, but I do like Mothra, gives you enough to be like, I feel good exploring what I want to do with Godzilla. And for that exact same reason, I'm going to put Ghidorah in the good category, strictly because I think and this is all off of the back of Ghidorah being complex. I think that Ghidorah is too complex for a new player to get, but Biomenace and Rodan, save it. Absolutely save it. Ghidorah being the 10 health character, and like when do I use my bonus card on offense or defense, or like there's like it's a very cerebral idea of like when's the most optimal time to use it, and do I miss it, do I not? But at the same time, you have 2 other characters that I would not recommend somebody playing as Ghidorah on their first tryout, right? I would recommend something else. And now onto the set of the hour, and that is Attack on Titan. And I gotta say, after having played, I'm gonna zoom in just a little bit, right? After having played a bit of Attack on Titan, I think that the initial Attack on Titan set is great for new players. I genuinely think it is. I think that new players are going to have an absolute blast with this set. I think that you can go and you can open a box and you can go make your 60 card spotlight deck, and you'll have a blast. You just like rip all your cards open. You pick the character you want. You take every air card and every fire card, and you build your Mikasa deck. Great. I think that's so easy. That's so easy. And because of how the different symbol identities work, is it's so easy for you to just take the character out, and like I no longer want to play Mikasa, I now want to play Levi. Well, I will take all the fire cards and throw them away, and take all of the death cards that I open and put them in my deck, and now I'm here, right? Like this buying a singular box of Attack on Titan is like such an easy entry point as long as you pull characters that you're interested in. I think this is, as a new player product, this is where it's at if you are forced to just buy a box. But here's where we get to these the starter decks. The challenger deck, I don't recommend. I don't even think I could recommend this to competitive players. I think this deck is actually bad. And here's my number one gripe. You ready? I opened my challenger deck, and it only had single symbol attuned cards. They all had the air symbol because it came with 2 characters. They only had the air attuned symbol. And there were reprints in my $35 deck that I got from the box. I paid $35 for a premium product for a competitive level deck to get commons and uncommons that I already had a playset of from opening a case of this product. There were cards that I had in my challenger deck that I was allowed to rip up and throw away because I had already bought copies of them. The point of the challenger deck is to be these unique, interesting ideas. Like, you want me to buy the challenger deck because they are unique cards. I should just have gone and bought singles for these cards. I just should have. I for the first time ever, like, I was annoyed that I had to spend $70 for Trigun. I was annoyed that I had to spend $70 for $130 for the Godzilla and the Ghidorah decks. I was mad, angry, and felt like I had wasted my money buying the Attack on Titan Challenger decks. I just did. I felt upset about it, which is not what you want for a new player. It's not what you want for any player, as I did not feel good about it. And now we have the Levi and Mikasa Clash decks. And despite their best efforts, these are just both terrible. These are bad products because the character card that you start with can't win games. Like, it can't. You are putting your because the idea of these Clash decks were you have your in-store demo and you're playing with a 6 hand size 15 health character, and then I ask you to pay and you were playing with a 30 card scripted deck. Then you are to graduate up to these Clash decks that are still a 6 hand size 15 health character with the exact same Mikasa ability. All of the cards that come inside of these Clash decks you can find inside of your boxes of Attack on Titan. The only difference is that these Clash decks have a way lower entry price point. But it does not feel good at all for someone to I watched Sam Tate win with a Clash deck Mikasa in a cave with a box of scraps. Who was he playing against? What were they doing? What are the other details about that, Jace? Right? Like, was it just this character, or was it just the deck? Right? If it was just the Mikasa deck or the Levi deck, I would color me surprised. Truly. But here is the way that you fix this. You ready? You take the Mikasa deck and you give it 2 character cards. The first character card is the 15 health character, the 6 hand size 15 health character, and you run the deck as is. And the second character card is an alternate art, exclusive art Mikasa you can only get inside of these decks, and it is the Ultra Mikasa from the set. And so you still have the idea of every card from this Clash deck is a card that you can find inside the set, but now you've given your players a character card that they are allowed to actually play with. And you do the exact same thing with the Levi deck. You let Levi actually have his character card, so that after you get done with your secondary demo, you then get to actually play it. But in good conscience, I cannot recommend that you buy a Mikasa and Levi deck. I think what you should do is, if you actually are trying to legitimately get into the game and you're not just dipping your toe and trying. If you want to dip your toe and try with the Mikasa Levi, or just play those as I'm going to play them at my own kitchen table, have a blast. Actually, I bet they're very, very fun. If you actually want to try and get into the game, into the ecosystem of the game, I recommend that you and one friend split the cost of a box and you see what decks you can make from them, right? You each get 3 symbols, take and like make your stuff. That's what I recommend. If you actually want to try and get in. But there it is. Chat. how do you guys feel about my list? If I do this, what happens? If I do this, yes. How do you guys feel about my list? I think that there is a lot of I feel like there is a lot of ideas of like how people should be teaching this game. If I do this, what happens? Whoop. There's a lot of opinions on how people think they should teach this game, and the game, truthfully, has gotten better. I believe that the game has gotten better when it comes to the teaching materials, specifically in the demo that we're doing at conventions. Could that be a little better? Yeah, absolutely. But it is a good step in the right direction. But I think that these were just a mistake, and I can't recommend them to new players even a little bit. I actually just can't. But with that, thank you much for watching, you guys. I do greatly appreciate it. If you wanted to come and be a part of the conversation, if you're watching over here on YouTube, come join me over on Twitch, twitch.tv/TamCardwell. I was gonna say every day, but it's just whenever I stream. I wish it was every day. But with that, thank you much for watching, and as always, I wish you well.